So last week we did a thing, right? We did a stream, and it's very matter. It's me reacting to my own stream. We did a stream on investing in Europe and all the complexities about it and around it. And this was a slide about like how to invest in European companies in 1,200 casual steps. This was my favorite part, actually. This was me forcing a good friend of mine out of his family dinner and embarrassing him in front of like several hundred people, trying to guess which one of those are European entities and which of them are actually STDs. It's surprisingly hard, honestly. I still don't know. I looked up a few, but I still don't properly know. The main point I wanted to make here is that we have so many entities in Europe. We have like all across Europe, I guess like 30 or something, maybe more, 30 something. Basically every little country that has the equivalent of like a GDP of like a large computer game or the population of like an, I don't know, Indian village, has its own legal structure, expects that investors learn it, expects that investors like figure out all the details. None of that is going to happen. Like it's just unlikely. Like imagine you have the option to buy cake, but some of that cake just has glass in it, or like nails, but who knows which one, and now go and just like buy random cakes, No investor is going to do this. You don't want to have a big like success story and then figure out that there is some nuance in Italian law that requires you to do A, B, and C, and D, and all of a sudden like all of your LPs are pissed at you. You don't want to invest in a company and then find out you're like in a different position as you would normally be as an investor in that specific entity, where you have no preferred shares or some stuff like that, and so on and so on. Like you don't want to do this, you don't want to be in that situation, and you don't have the time or energy to do all the research, work with like lawyers who never worked with, just that you can do one little investment in Europe. My POV on this is it's naive to expect European investors to do this across the board in Europe. It's absolutely naive. Like in reality, they will learn like 2 entities, maybe 3, and that's about it. It's very naive to expect these European investors to do it. Angels, no freaking way. And if it's not their full-time job, like no freaking way they will do it outside of their own country and maybe 1 or 2 other entities, unless there's a very famous lead, It's naive to expect it from European investors. It's ridiculous to expect it from American ones. Like I never could get any American investor to invest in a Czech entity or something like this. Not going to happen. So like that's ridiculous, and then it's, from my point of view, very hypocritical to complain about the fact that we don't have enough early stage investors, not enough like risk willingness. We don't have enough investors investing across Europe. We don't have enough international investors investing here. It's so hard for founders to start companies. And like this is just like freaking hypocritical. Like this is the root cause, This is the root cause, like one of the root causes, but like this is in my opinion, easy to fix one. So I kind of like started a new hobby, which is me trying to help this a little bit by figuring out holdcos and also like seeing if you can do a little bit of policy work and all this kind of stuff. So what happened since last week? A few things actually. So number 1, we launched a website after I figured out how DNS work, and please don't tell my computer science professors in university. I actually, like, what's the funniest? Like, do you know why it didn't work? And I was legit debugging this for 2 hours. I tried everything to figure out like why does Namecheap not reroute. I looked up if they have specific bugs, like I tried to reverse engineering the whole shit. Turns out I was like updating the wrong domain. Yeah. I needed like roughly, I needed hours to figure this out actually. Turns out I actually updated the wrong domain the whole time. Now we have it live. It's on euac.com. We also have like a Discord. Big shout out to Omar here. We have now 1,600 people in that Discord, and I'm doing a horrible job in keeping them up to date and also like involving them yet. So like big sorry on my end here already. This week has been a lot. We had calls. We had like calls with politicians, calls with people who work in government tech, lawyers, I talked to multiple of the largest startup associations in Europe. Turns out there's not one like European startup association. There's multiple, obviously, because Europe. And I also talked to people who had similar initiatives in the past and like where they ran into problems. So like the week was very, very busy. I did an absolute horrible job in like involving more people and like spreading the work, especially around like the stuff that doesn't necessarily like like not just the holdco stuff, like the other stuff outside of the holdco. I can do a better job, and I'm like just want to say sorry to everybody in the Discord for doing that poorly so far. I promise to do better. Could you fix that? Can I fix that, please? Thank you. So yeah, tomorrow we do like a big update in the Discord, sharing how we work and everything, and like how more people can help. And thanks for like all the people joining and like bringing ideas and like already starting doing stuff. We had like an meetup in Bucharest, which is technically was more like an effective accelerationism meetup, and was kind of like hijacked to be also like an EUAC meetup, which is like about technical progress, but also about fixing the EU. And I want to give a big shout out to, I don't know his name, I will just call him GM for organizing that. We need more of this kind of stuff to excite people in Europe. So what is EUAC? Just as a reminder, like for those people who don't know, TLDR, it's about fixing a little bit of the narrative we have in Europe about Europe, but like also globally about Europe. There's a lot of stuff we can do here that's related to just like sharing facts. People don't know which innovation actually comes out of Europe. They don't know which companies are actually European based, because even for Europeans, it's so common to think in silos. Like we think of French tech or German tech, Swedish tech or UK companies or whatever, and we don't think of it as like European as a whole, which is a big downside, because no way like any of those countries will ever compete properly against the US, against China, and soon against India. If we want to stay competitive, we need to see ourselves as like one large super hub, with different identities, but like one shared pan-European goal is of being like the place where people who have ambition can actually succeed. It doesn't need, like my goal is even not even to be the best place. My first goal is to be a place where they have a legit chance to be successful without constantly thinking about moving to the US or like soon maybe to other countries. This is a must-have. This is a must-have if you want to stay competitive, if you want to like stay in this whole game, if you want to keep our premium lifestyle and all of this kind of stuff we're known for. So like creating excitement about Europe, but actually using data for that, not just like blind hype, but also like showing the actual problems through data and showing the weaknesses, right? Second one is working with policymakers to see if we can fix one of the biggest problems, that the fact that we don't have a standard entity in Europe. We don't have the equivalent concept of a US Inc. in Europe. We have Delaware Inc. We don't have that. And this is kind of like having villages without roads in between. And it's just like extremely hard to connect, And number three is to focus on the holdcos. Because this is a very, very simple, quote unquote, simple thing that European founders cannot do already now, to have like an entity wherever they want, but also have an entity on top that's very investor friendly. We will write like blueprints for this and also like highlight the pro and cons, because unfortunately that shit is not easy. Unfortunately, a lot of countries in Europe make it really, really hard to do that properly because they worry about tax evasion for understandable reasons. This kind of stuff, like getting an international company but like living in Europe, is usually done for tax evasion or tax structuring, as it's normally called. So there is work to be done. We also want to do, and thanks for Janine, like subgang. We also want to do like a SAFE. So basically having standardized entities, but also standardized documentation for investments on top. There is a long-term POV on this. It's like do it proper through the European Union, like policy work, force it like through this whole process. And then there's a short-term POV, which is like holdcos, standardize that, investment documents, standardize that, put it into the market, and make sure that like the community adopts it. In many cases, they have already, so we're in a good place. Okay, so This week was mainly just kickoff and like getting stuff started. The next week, my main goal is to distribute more work. We have a lot of people who offer to lead initiatives, to help with initiatives, who are just like really, really smart about like multiple areas. People who organize meetups, people who help with communication, who help with content and all this kind of stuff. We have people who used to work in policy. We have people who have experience with international law, international taxes. We have people who run some of the largest associations in Europe in our Discord. Next week is to get them into a place where they can actually help. And that's like something I have so far completely messed up. And this is something we're fixing next week. Okay, so quick sneak peek. What we're doing tomorrow and over the weekend is we will share our charter, we will share the principles, and we will kickstart the work groups. You can do a sneak peek quickly here. We already have like on slide, we already have like some of the documentation online. It will be more by tomorrow, but like just that you get like a little bit of an idea. We also want to share the principles of how we want to work. So number one, data-driven, like showing the pro, showing the con, and getting out of this pure meme-like narrative about the Europeans being not working hard and all this kind of BS, where if you like just look at the data, none of that shit is true, you know? But also like showing the highlights of like actual success in Europe, as well as like actual weaknesses. The fact that our companies, the big companies in Europe are like decades older, you know? It's like half centuries older than in America. And this is something that needs to change. And another one is we want to be extremely positive about Europe and like to the point that we make it hopefully common for European founders to think of themselves as European founders and not as like Portuguese founders, French founders, Swedish founders, but like or European founders from Portugal and these regions. Same for investors. Number three, technical advancement. We can only succeed, we can only be an innovation hub, we can only be important, we can only be a place that has premium jobs, that has premium workplaces for everybody, if we have the innovation, if we push forward on this kind of stuff. The good part here is we're actually one of the leaders in the world on this. So that's actually something we can tap into, and that's possible, you know, but that needs to be the focus also like of this let's call it a movement. And number four, which is a little bit like controversial, but like I strongly believe in this, there's multiple people in the European Union who dedicate their life on improving Europe for startups. There's like amazing people who have done this for like decades by now. And they have seen why other initiatives failed. They have seen why specific policy proposals failed. All of that stuff is extremely complex for obvious reasons. And the number one reason here is in many cases, you need every country in Europe to agree on a legislation, which is like, imagine running a company like this, like impossible, right? What we want to do is we want to enable those people. We don't want to tell them like how to do their job. They know how to do their job. They have been trying to do this shit for years now. There's like similar proposals, similar things like 10, 15 years ago, you know. They know what to do. They know that this is important, and we want to like get to the point that we can enabling them by streamlining the community, startup community in Europe, and like around specific things that are important to us. Starting number one, standard entities, you know. Also like streamlining the general like thinking here, that it's for leaders in Europe important not to be the French leader in tech or something, but being a European leader in tech, and the same for politicians. Like right now, the incentive of every politician in Europe is to be focused completely on local optimization and scapegoat everything else on the European Union, you know, and this is what everybody's currently doing, you know. This is not how we are going to become one hub. At least from my point of view. We need to get to the point that politicians have an incentive in branding to be perceived as a European leader, as a politician, you know? So I don't say that we can do this alone, but I think this should be one of our target vectors. Cool. So call to action. Did I actually manage to? Yeah, like, okay. It should be 2 slides. I'm sorry. Did I fuck this up? Yeah, it should be 2 slides. Anyway. If you believe that Europe has like a strong opportunity, but also is like pretty much like messing up a lot right now, please join us and try to help, okay? Okay, cool. That was like a quick update on EUAC For those in the chat, who is currently already in our Discord? I will do like a 5-second break because I was like rambling way too quickly right now. Fuck, this never works. Like if I call out chat, it never works. I need like more insane person in my community, people who like spam all the time. Okay, let's move on. Okay, cool. So this was just a very quick update on the whole UX stuff. Proper update for the community comes tomorrow in the Discord, okay? The Discord link you can find. Hey, we have people in the Discord, that's awesome. The Discord link you can find on eoag.com. I will do like a proper redirect at some point, but that works for now. It's in the very bottom right now. That's something we need to fix as well. Okay, cool. That's like UX, quick updates, just status update. The proper community update comes tomorrow, and hopefully we can like over the weekend or next Monday get like people like spread a little bit of the work because a lot of people want to help, and this is awesome. Sweet. Okay, enough about this for now. Okay, today I wanted to dedicate today's session mainly on founder demos and prototypes and like actually still creating space for founders who are like super early in their process or like are like working on new ideas, so that, you know, like it's very easy to take these content topics and all of a sudden they occupy everything. Last week was like fully dead, no founder demo whatsoever. Let me actually share the Discord link because this is like getting complicated here. Let me show you how the internet works, okay? So this is what we call a browser, okay? And you open it and you type in this URL, it's called eoag.com. And you do what we call in the industry scrolling, and you scroll down, and then you can click here on the Discord link, okay? And to make this easier, I will also like throw it into the chat. Oh, thanks, dear. Already somebody did it. Appreciate, mate. Cool, awesome. Let's get rolling. So, where are we at? Today we want to do space for founders again, and one of the topics I want to cover today is actually around working on platforms like OpenAI. So all the founders today are actually working on AI platforms like OpenAI, but also others. And that's a very interesting thing because OpenAI, for example, but also like Mistral and all the other, constantly push the envelope. They constantly bring more features. Better models, faster, more functionality, and so on and so on. This time, which I thought is hilarious, the actual big announcement was we all going to have AI girlfriends, dude, which is amazing, you know, like AI girlfriends, AI boyfriends. The human race will self-select to people who don't like tech, you know, very, very soon, hopefully, as this looks like. We have now an AI voice, which is like an AI bot, which is
how's it going?
Hey, Rocky. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm awesome. Listen, I got some huge news.
This is so horny.
Oh, do tell. I'm all ears.
Well, in a few minutes, I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
Well, it's for a software engineering role, but I just need to know, do I look presentable, professional?
Well, Rocky, you definitely have the I've been coding all night look down, which could actually work in your favor. Maybe just run a hand through your hair or lean into the mad genius vibe. Your enthusiasm is what's really going to shine through.
I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to throw this on. What do you think?
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece. I mean, you'll definitely stand out. Though maybe not in the way you're hoping for an interview.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, legit. Like, how do you make an AI voice that flirty and horny? Like, how? Like, is there a parameter? You know, is there like a setting in the LLM? Like, just like push it to the max? Like, what the frack's going on here? This is what happens when you have like a tech ecosystem that's completely male dominant. Like, this is like ridiculous. Like, we can't have this.
Hey, how's it going?
Wait, like these are actually quote. Like, you're making me blush. Like, I love how Mira is like completely uncomfortable on the side in this picture. Yeah, this is insane. He was my favorite actually. Like what there was like something around uh, his sweater, and like he had like this absolute perfect smirk, and he made it onto the news and comedy shows, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Um, Basically the feedback is GPT 4.0 more like GPT 4.0. I was like everybody noticed, but also funny enough, like this has a market. We are losing most likely half of our generations to this kind of stuff, AI girlfriends, AI boyfriends. So this will be now like an official counter, which we update every week. Okay, so this week we are at 0 people being horny about AI. Okay, and honestly, I don't think this is only a man thing. Like this is right now a man thing. From get it, you know. But imagine that thing, like the LLM, is actually capable of listening, answering empathetically, you know, taking the time, giving space. Honestly, we will lose like a whole generation of girls on this, like on women on this. Like honestly, this is like more than most women can expect from their husband. So we guys, we are fucked. Okay. So yeah, this is not like girlfriend as a service. Like I would be more worried about the AI boyfriend as a service. Honestly, this is like ways ahead of like what most husbands can do. Okay, so we need to actually level up. But okay, and this is where we get to the. Let me quickly open Zoom so that we have this ready. Sorry for that. Okay. This is where we get to, like, did I open the right Zoom? Jesus Christ, technology, guys. Oops. I think, yeah. Yes, the right one. Okay, cool. Yes, perfect. Yay. Okay, sorry, and we are back. This is where we get to the topic of today. We have 3 demos of AI startups, and every time there's like this kind of like feature scope change, you know, there's always like the risk, like, am I going to be replaced? So will my startup now be gone because of that, you know? And this is today's topic, building on platform. So I like to call it the killer is already in the build, you know? Get it? You know, like building. I think it's awesome. So we have 3 founders today, okay? Oh, by the way, I forgot about this. Google also announced something, 100 things. I have no freaking idea. Something with Gemini or what it's called in their browser. It has like no sexy voice in there. I couldn't pay attention. They had like amazing DJ, okay? Like honestly, kudos to whoever booked here. Genius moment. A part of that, I don't remember anything of that presentation. I think the browser can be now controlled by agents or something. Honestly, like you need to add sexy voice if you want to get attention in that week. Honestly, like no press, like no tech update in the whole week. Otherwise, got any attention by anybody else. Okay, cool. Let's get going. We have 3 demos. And first one is Jonas. Okay, cool. So let me quickly admit him. Hey, Jonas. Do you hear me? Test.
Hey, Andreas.
Okay, perfect. Give me 1 second. I just need to fix the tech here, and then we get going.
All right.
Cool. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Cool. Very, very good. Thanks for taking time.
Oh no, thank you for inviting me. This is great. I'm very excited.
Cool. So you know the drill, right? The goal is basically would be awesome if you show what you do, explain a little bit about your project, right? And then afterwards, we can pretty much discuss anything you want, you know. But I would also like to discuss a little bit how you think about the market. Stuff constantly moves, especially like with Google's recent features, like in your case. So I would love to discuss this a bit, you know, and your POV on that.
Right.
And anything else you want to like get out of this is like completely whatever you want to do. Like this is your time. Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right. Let me share my screen briefly. Yeah, let me know if you can see it.
Yes. Can you make
Yeah,
your
okay,
screen wider, like your browser?
right.
So it's like,
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, so what we're working on is a scammer block. We want to prevent all of the phone scams that are happening for older adults or basically our grandparents. Every single year in the US, about $20 billion are lost to scams, and about 40% of those scams has phone as the first point of contact. So what we built is Sophia, right? And Sophia has that sexy voice that's for people to remember who she is, right? That you mentioned. But long story short, the way it works is you onboard with doing two things. So on the iPhone, you can silence the incoming unknown calls, and then forward that to our number that we have set up on Twilio, right? And the Twilio number is managed by Sophia. So what you can see here is basically calls that I have received recently. We provide caller evaluation. We can do multiple languages. We can do French, Spanish, English, Swedish, and many more that will come in after GPT-4o releases its voice API properly. We evaluate the call. We see if they have provided the requested information, and basically tell the recipient if this is a suspicious or non-suspicious calls.
Can you
So if
demo
you
this
go into
somehow? Or like do you have a video of this or something?
right, yeah. So I have yesterday I released I released a funny video. Let me show that to you. Right, so this is the Twitter demo. I don't know if you can you hear the
Is this like an ad or is
background
this a
noise?
product demo?
Right, it's like an ad with product demo.
Let's skip to the product demo. Okay, here we go.
Okay, yeah. So this is how it works. Basically, you just type in the number. Let's say the number is like grandma's number, and you type in, and you're calling the grandma from an unknown number, and you're pretending to be me, right? So basically, you duplicate it, clone my voice, and you're saying that. I'll quickly do the MacBook Pro sound so that you guys can hear how it works. Basically, forward all the unknown. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, we hear it.
Incoming calls to Sophie, and she deals with everything.
Thank you for calling. This is Sophie here to help. Who's calling?
Hi, Grandma, this is me, Jonas. I got into an accident and I need your help.
What's the secret phrase so I can assist you? What's the emergency?
Secret phrase? No, I don't remember that. Beep, beep.
Right. So,
Did you say beep beep?
I had to be honest. This is the first time I was editing the video properly, so I had to say beep beep because it was too difficult to put on the audio. But shout out to Instagram, like their video editor is insane. So so here what we can see is basically that call that I have done yesterday. And it says that, hey, this is a potential scam. It only allows me to copy the number if I confirm that, I know Jonas, if I'm unsure that I have discussed with someone I trust, and if it feels off, report if suspicious. If not, just tick it to be able to copy the number. So you copy the number and you can call the person. Here we also
Thank
have
you for calling. This is Sophie here to help. Who's calling?
the transcript basically.
Hey,
right.
Grandma, this is me, Jonas, calling. I need your help. I got into an emergency.
Right, so that was the real conversation without the voice tuning, right? And she basically.
What message would you like me to pass to the recipient?
I got into an emergency. I need help.
Please tell me the secret phrase
You're,
for
by the way,
emergency.
a very non-believable scammer. Like.
Yeah, right. Oh my
Horrible.
God, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's why the product works then, right?
Fair enough.
Right. Yeah, but long story short, that's what we built, and the other product that we released just 2 days ago is verify call. Oh wait, okay, this is not working. Verify call. So what we took is basically more than 1,000 different scam scenarios that have been reported. We scraped all of that data, I won't tell from where exactly, but we scraped that. And what we have set up is a free number for people in the US to call, or you can connect it over internet. And you'll
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am a frauds and scams consultant. How may I help you today?
So what you can do basically is you can tell her, hey, I'm actually, I received a call where they are asking me to send money.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me a bit more about the call you received? For example, did they mention who they were or why they needed the money?
Right. So the idea behind this is basically Sarah is the one asking the questions to make you sort of think rather than, suggesting or like giving particular advice. Because usually in these scams, the social engineering works on the threat and emergency and urgency levels, and sometimes you just need to take a step back, to be able to avoid that. So how we call ourselves is that we are the first line defense for seniors.
Okay, makes sense. So, shall we talk about the obvious problem?
Right, yeah, let's go. What is it?
So Google announced this week that they have like scam detection in their calls, right?
Right. Yeah, that was like 5 days before we decided to.
Damn it.
Yeah, right. Well, they had something like that for Pixel already for some time, but yeah, I guess Android is one side of the scale, and then iPhone is the other, right? So worst case scenario, iPhone market is still up for grabs, but of course there's a challenge and chance that this can be eventually, this is just a feature to an iOS, right? But our vision is a bit bigger. We want to create, ultimately it's like a network for seniors, right? And by network I mean, is it cell, is it internet, is it cable, is it like TV or whatever, everything that is already protected and safe. And we basically act as an telecom X insurance, and yeah, provide them a service that they are happy with, right? Like a full suite of kind of personal cybersecurity product.
Makes sense. Can we quickly talk about everything else?
All right, yeah.
Can you
sure.
open it like in your screen? Like,
Oh yeah. Let me do that. Okay, you check me out actually.
yeah, like no, this stream is like FIFO, like whoever is like first gets in done.
All right. Okay.
So what is
Yeah.
everything else?
So that's right. Yeah, that's what we started with, and the name came from a problem that we built like 7 products before everything else, and we did everything but the right thing. So that's where the name came from. But long story short, the way we see the world is that in the next 10 years, everybody will be self-employed or should be self-employed. To have freedom and enjoy life and be happy in general, and that using AI and agents, you're able to get to that, reach that future, live that future, and this is our contribution.
Yeah.
So what we did, that was the very first product where we were trying to learn how to build AI apps, and we like shamelessly copied how those custom GPTs work. We basically plugged in all the OpenAI APIs and just made it work. Right? It works quite nice. It has user management. Nice. It has a few other features. It has prompt engineering already implemented, so that basically it helps you to create a better prompt.
Yes.
You can add new knowledge easily from videos. We have also
what I like about
all
this.
the stuff.
Can you go back to the landing page? So my main question is, do you want to raise fund for that, like VC money, or do you just want to make money?
Right. Well, both. Right. Both. So we are backed a bit by Founders Inc. and a few angel investors. Founders Inc. is a like early stage first money in fund based in San Francisco, and that's where I'm right now in their office.
They have an epic
helped
office.
us out. Right. Oh, have you been?
Yeah, of course, I know them.
All right. Nice. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So So we've been working and testing out things for a while now, kind of pivoting a lot, exploring, and the moment of truth comes now. If we survive or not, and obviously money is very important in this particular case. So fundraise or revenue both works.
Yes. So if let's say VC wouldn't be part of that discussion, my gut feeling would be make everything else almost like your lab, where you say like, hey, we're trying out one idea per week, per month, whatever. We shoot the shit and we see what sticks, kind of, And the good thing is like a lot of the stuff like payments and like user, like it's kind of repeating anyway across the projects. So you get like to a point where you can try out ideas really quickly, and some of them might actually hit something that makes sense and you can make money, And I think right now that's a really, really strong way to bootstrap. Like pick either like an idea that like hundreds of people also work on, but like just do it better, but like bootstrap focused, not VC focused, or go like super hard into some vertical, like, doing specific stuff that like lawyers in South Carolina need,
Yeah.
That's like right now a really, really strong way to bootstrap, because a lot of the stuff that GPT now allows is like just things that used to be really, really hard in very, very recent past, like structuring information, text to speech, speech to text, like all this kind of stuff, like this is like used to be really, really hard, and now it's like an API call,
That's
bootstrapping,
exactly
genius,
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry, you go.
That's exactly what the platform became, right? So we started with custom GPT, then we added calls agent features, so you can actually even create a voice agent that can call you, that can do an outbound call. Our idea at the beginning was, can we do the pre-screening for HR, for recruiting, or maybe if you're missing some information, just call the person, or if you're looking for someone to fill in a shift, just do it automatically.
Yes.
And
for VC, you run into two, like, I mean, what has been so far the feedback by VCs for Scammerblock?
Well, we haven't really talked to them, right? The main thing is like what we need is users, right? So the go-to-market is the most complicated thing that we're trying to figure out right now. Because there's stakeholders, right? There's government and agencies, there's caregivers, and caregivers can be like professional, non-professional, and then we have the older adults or seniors on like by their own, and like, so who exactly to sell? So caregiver is kind of like a no-brainer, right? But at the same time, like how to convince them should we go for the inheritance, save your inheritance sort of angle, or like, we're just like testing different ideas. This is really fresh. We're talking like basically 2 weeks ago on Sunday, we started working on this. We started putting the stuff together, and that gives us and everything else, platform as itself, gives us a boost, right? So we have everything that we need. That's why we can move so fast, actually. So
I think this is also like your superpower, and I think it's one of the things where you can always like spend 20% of your time just like trying out stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
1 second.
Right.
Because so I mean, I can tell you all the stuff that you most likely already heard. So if you do anything that like directly links to end consumer phones in that level where you at, you're always like either limited or very competitive, like because Google might just like do this natively, and Apple might just do this natively in the call itself, so like no rerouting or anything, So that's like an obvious risk. You obviously, and there's a few other aspects here, like a classic, you can call it a platform risk, which is like I think an obvious feedback that you will get. The solution to this kind of stuff is like going wider into areas that like even those platforms won't cover. And I don't really know what that would mean in your case. Maybe like work directly with specific phone providers for seniors, maybe introduce even like a special kind of phone numbers that automatically get rerouted unless it's like, if it's like potentially scam, you know what I mean? And a few other things, like maybe like go deeper into the feature set, like or like in the like more vertical essentially, Maybe there's completely other ways you can solve this, but like the problem you have here is obviously like you're right now like exactly at that sweet spot where you're like extremely fragile to what any platform does in your space, and like I think you know that obviously because of the Google announcement
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
absolutely. I guess that the key question is, or like the reason why we decided to go with consumer is that the feedback is kind of instant, and
Yes.
you can, they just tell you, no, I won't use that, right? And that's so clear, right? Well, with enterprises or like, trying to kind of work out some like insurance or telecom deals, we're talking 6 months of back and forth emails and,
Yeah, with Telcom
handshakes and all of
with
that.
Telcom forget, like you're also like way too small for them to even like
Right.
do anything serious
Exactly.
with you. The other thing that you can do is you can try the same pattern for other use cases. So are there use cases where it makes sense for me to quickly reroute either to team members or to AI? Like basically
Right.
what is the like virtual call center equivalent to this? Maybe there
Yeah.
are use cases like that are give you like a wedge into like a normal business market. You know what I mean?
We are getting a bit of pull for like executive assistant sort of thing, right? For like COOs or CEOs that are receiving multiple calls a day, including spam calls. But so like they get like 15 to 20 calls a day, but like 2 or 3 of them are only legit. So like automatically filtering it out and making their phone not ring when the call is shit, that's what they really enjoyed. And for them, like this $9 or like $15 or even $20 price
Can
point,
you currently do that?
is
Can you automatically redirect without them even seeing the call?
yeah. So that's how it works. So like when you do that,
I thought I have to do this manually.
no, you don't. No.
No.
So like so the way it works is you go on iPhone, you go to phone, and then there is this feature silence unknown incoming calls.
Okay.
And what it means basically, whenever the phone is not in your address book, it automatically gets forwarded to Sophie, right?
Interesting.
To our solution. Yeah.
My personal gut feeling is that pattern by itself is very interesting, but I'm not.
Right.
So I could imagine this and I wonder if there's other ways you can go vertical here a little bit. Maybe there's even like phone numbers I can share publicly, and like just the whole idea of like me not getting annoyed by people. And or like I have a phone number that is basically a virtual phone number that gets automatically rerouted to the right person in the team. By default, it goes to the boss, but like in cases where it's most likely a new customer or something like that, it goes to the assistant or it goes to the bot,
Right.
it goes to the agent. The pattern itself is interesting. This could give you some wedge into like be basically like a very, very, very simple solution to a very common problem, and like a common where like already software exists, like all of this software exists, but they feel heavy, they feel like big. I need to
Right. Oh my God, they feel heavy. Like it's insane actually that those like call routing systems, they cost a shitload of money, first of all, and second of all, they're just dinosaurs. It's insane. So that is a very funny thing. Like I've never felt in my life when building something that, man, maybe we're just doing a bit too little. Maybe this is just
It's a good sign.
like it's so obvious what we're doing. Like, and whenever we tell someone, they're like, "Oh my God, yeah, that makes total sense, right?"
Yeah, my first instinct was I would pay extra if you could try to scam the scammer. Like if I reroute,
right? Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they're, you know what I mean? They get like they get like tortured for like half an hour trying to scam the AI bot. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
cool. Jonas, thanks so much for showing.
Yeah, thanks, Andreas. Appreciate
People can help by checking out your product on scammerblock.com.
Yeah.
Anything else they can do for
Or
you?
they can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always happy to chat and get feedback and help with anything I can as well. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Cool.
that's my
this is your profile.
handle.
Perfect.
Right.
We'll share it afterwards in the chat. Thanks so much, dude. See you
Awesome.
later.
Thanks. Ciao. Take care.
Kick. Oh, hey, look. My 2 favorite people. Okay, cool. Next we are getting Lucas on. Bum. Let's see if this works.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. It's two people. Which one is Lucas?
Two people. I'm Lucas. I'm here with my co-founder, Vincent.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Lucas. Hey, Vincent. Cool. You know the drill. What are you doing? Like show us your product. Let's do a quick demo, and then afterwards we can discuss anything that's useful for you. You know. Let me quickly Christian's too early. And then we can afterwards discuss anything that's useful to you. Time is yours. Stage is yours. Let's go.
Sounds great. So in terms of what we're doing, very brief before the demo, we're enabling truly multilingual remote work. And so for you to work with anyone in any language in a remote setting, and truly global remote work that is not bounded by language. And so I'm happy to share my screen. The best way to see what we're doing is just to show you.
Yes, please.
And so the way our product works is it's a local application that you download onto your device, and it translates all audio and in the future text simultaneously. And so while you are speaking, while you are typing, it translates. Most other competitors focus on consecutive interpretation, which means after you finish the sentence, we're doing it actually simultaneously live. So I'm happy to turn on the translation and have you play around with it. Would you like to do, we support 10 plus languages. Is there any specific language that you would like to test it out with?
I have a very similar language to German, which is called Austrian, which Germans keep reminding me that they can absolutely not understand me, but like we can try it, okay?
Okay, so you want to do English to German? I don't speak German, but I'm from Spain, so I'm happy to do Spanish if that's easiest.
You speak Spanish and we do it into German, and then I reply.
Okay.
Like this is how this works?
Yep, exactly.
Or actually, let's do Spanish to.
So I'm connecting my headphones.
Yeah, let's do Spanish to English because otherwise people have no idea what we're talking about.
Sorry?
Let's do Spanish to English, otherwise like nobody has an idea what we're chatting and they think we're like insulting somebody in the chat or something.
That sounds good. So the way we have it set up is you'll hear a bit of the Spanish original audio, and with a bit of a delay, you'll hear the English translation. And then you can reply in English. I'll hear you in my headphones in Spanish. Does that sound good?
Let's see.
All right. Give me 10 seconds to turn it on. ¿Me escuchas cuando te hablo en español?
Hello, do you hear me when I speak to you in Spanish?
Okay, nice. Yeah. Te escucho bien. Sorry, I hear you well.
Es difícil acostumbrarse, pero como puedes ver, la traducción...
It's hard to get used to, but as you can see, the translation starts while I'm talking, and our goal is to reduce the delay as much as possible.
That's interesting.
So we can have a real-time work interaction in different languages.
Nice. So in a perfect scenario, I wouldn't even hear the Spanish one. I would only hear the English one, right?
Aquí la opción de escuchar el idioma original.
We have here the option to listen to the original language and the translated language. Many people have told us that they like to listen to the original language, and that's why we have the option here. But if you want, I can take it off completely.
Can we try to take it off completely just for a second, like how weird the experience is?
Hello, I'm speaking to you in Spanish, and you should just listen to the audio translated.
It's fascinating. But now we obviously don't know if you're actually speaking Spanish or not, so like I kind of like defeated the whole purpose of the demo, but I trust you that you're still speaking Spanish right now. Cool, let's jump back to English, like let's get out of this, otherwise it's a bit too slow. But this is awesome. So how does it technically work? He's like me, needing to completely reset his audio setup, like every touch. Like I have the same now with like my stream. I need to like reroute everything, you know, like all the time. So how does it technically work?
So there's a lot of ways to do this. The kind of naive approach is speech to text, machine translation, and text back to speech. However, it's pretty lossy. A lot of information, it's like a game of telephone, literally. And then what we currently are working with is like end-to-end speech in, speech out. However, as technology gets better, we'll do whatever it takes to improve latency and improve accuracy. Right.
The nice thing, yeah, we're very modular, so we can kind of plug and play whichever component is best, fastest, and highest accuracy.
And the core components, like are these like what are you using? Like are these like open source machine learning models? Are you like building your own? Like how can I imagine this?
Yeah, so some of it's open source. Like if we're doing the speech to text cascade, you can use Whisper and otherwise. But a lot of these things, if you're going to use open source, aren't necessarily built for like synchronous live translation. They're built for you take the MP3 of the meeting recording or the YouTube video you want to dub of Mr. Beast or whatever it is, and then take this entire chunk, translate it in 11 Labs, the entire chunk. 11 Labs is built for roughly 30 minutes or 30 seconds of audio. At least that's their like a batch size. Same with Whisper, it's around a minute or so. And so we don't have the time to wait for a minute of consecutive translation. So we change the open source to make it such that it's ready for like actual live translation.
So how can I imagine this? Do you basically estimate where a sentence stops and just like start early with the translation? Is this how I imagine it?
So it's not sentence by sentence. One could do I mean, good intuition. The one could do just look for punctuation marks and regexit and all this and then send it, batch by batch. But what we look for is, I mean, we have like what's called a monotonic attention like network. It's kind of like a network that sits on top of the text as it's streamed in. And for audio, if we're using our end-to-end audio model, and we say, halfway through this sentence, do we have enough information to make a translation? So if I say, hello, my name is Vincent, when I'm saying my name is, the following word, it can be attended to, it's going to be a proper noun. And so hello is independent of the proper noun Vincent. And so you can already start translating hello to hola or guten tag or whatever.
So that's our big innovation, is being able to translate mid-sentence and making it as simultaneous and real-time as possible to actually enable work. That's kind of the big proprietary tech here.
It sounds like a very common academic problem. Like I'm not an expert for this, so like you need to tell me, but this sounds like something where a lot of people like released white papers. There's like standard modules for this kind of stuff, or this feels like a thing where like people are literally doing PhDs on and then like afterwards producing white papers. Are you one of those?
Yeah. Good. Vincent did a lot of NLP research, a lot of translation research in school and those things. And so that was kind of the origin of us working together.
Oh, nice. Okay. What's your take on like the obvious question? Like, first of all, like, is this something you want to race for or something you just want to make money with?
No, this is something that we want to race for.
Interesting. Okay, cool. What's your take on like OpenAI, like currently doing like live to live, it's not like the same because you have to finish the sentence, obviously, but at least from the casual consumer case, it's very similar. You know what I mean? What's your take on that?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, there are a few things to highlight. I mean, the first one is the best version of our product is one where you don't even notice it at all. And so what OpenAI is trying to do is human to machine interaction and behavior. And so having a personal assistant that you can talk to that's an AI is kind of their main objective, like her. Well, our focus is trying to make this as seamless as possible. And so doing person-to-person interaction with AI frictionlessly in the middle. And so the simultaneous component of that is very important because like you kind of were very quick to realize the best version of this product is one where you just hear the translation and where it doesn't even there's translation in between. And so what we want to do is, like I mentioned, enable multilingual work. And so we're starting with speech, but we're going to do whatever we can to make this a reality, whether it's embedding text into the platform, which we realize from our users is a big need as well, since a lot of work happens on Slack, on email, doing real-time text is a concern there. And so our big vision is having an end-to-end platform that enables multilingual work with communication.
Interesting. How do you do like your Slack thing? How do you imagine this?
We have an OS level kind of application, so it sits next to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or otherwise, and it's able to read information on your local desktop, like Grammarly, if you've used Grammarly before. And be able to translate just, you click the squiggly line red thing or whatever it is, and it'll translate it to German or Austrian or otherwise. Same with audio. Here we have OS level like virtual drivers to hijack maybe intercept is a better word, the audio from Zoom or otherwise, such that you don't need to have a bot in the meeting, no pilot or any of those. It's human to human communication. It's not human to AI.
Makes complete sense. What's your take? So you can either be like very horizontal, like in the sense of like this is speech translation for any use case, any modern work, any specific work, and so on and so on. Like from any desktop app to any live discussion and so on and so on. The other way could be to go more vertical and say like, hey, there are specific use cases where real-time translation is very important. Obviously like the UN and stuff like that, but I guess there's others, but in that case, we would build more than just that, we would like go deep into that space. What's your POV like right now? Like which way is currently your path?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we want to be very deliberate in the sense that there are many different directions you could take this in, as you alluded to. We want to go more the vertical route. And so we're starting very concretely with technical talent and hiring Spanish to English technical talent between the Americas. And so US companies hiring Latin American technical talent. Right now, 3% of Latin America speaks English. 10% of Latin American software engineers or highly technical talent speak English. And so there's a huge gap between the opportunities that you can get, as I'm sure you know, in terms of economic opportunities and outcomes there. And then also just on the translation side, technical conversations are the hardest ones to translate. There's over 10% of words in conversations with software engineers are specific technical jargon, whether APIs, Python, JavaScript, all these things. And with general translation solutions, Python is translated as a snake. And so
I used to live in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and I was studying there, and I basically just arrived with knowing barely any Spanish. Right. And I was able to get through a full presentation just by the fact that every noun is anyway English. You know what I mean? So like was basically just very simple verbs, and then just like always the noun. And I managed to do like a whole presentation like that, not like gracefully, but like at least, I got my grade.
It's a big reason why we chose English to Spanish as well is because you can do this like almost word level translation. You don't want to wait for an entire monologue to finish to be able to consecutively chunk that. German is a little bit more, or Austrian perhaps is a little more difficult because different subject, object, verb, order, and all that. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Professional, sorry to interrupt you, with professional use case, it's interesting that you do like the whole live stuff, I could imagine this would be also very interesting async, but like this is obviously like a very competitive space, but to be able to do like an video recording a presentation and afterwards share it, and that's like proper done in my voice and everything, like all the stuff that's currently very emulated, that's obviously like also like something that could be in a professional space interesting. I think this is me speaking after spending with you guys like 10 minutes, so I have like absolutely no idea. The obvious biggest risk is that this is like a thing where, in your case, you're not working on top of OpenAI's platform, but it's like something where like a lot of these players go into the horizontal aspect of it. So it's very likely that Google will have something like that, that Apple has something like that Apple might have this like natively on the long run, or at least like there will be apps by OpenAI to do this natively. And like it's a very horizontal thing, that they theoretically could do additionally, and that's, as a layman speaking, the obvious risk here that I think that you also see right now, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we very much use the analogy of Grammarly, where Word had their own text editor, Google added their own text editor. What made Grammarly win was the fact that they were completely frictionless and they worked everywhere you did. And so because of that, they had very kind of tailored understanding of you, of your vocabulary, your lexicon. And with translation, it's the same thing. Translation is a constant state. And so the interpreters that are the best are the ones that have worked with you for 7 years, that know you very well, and that because of that can offer high quality translation. We want to be translating on Slack, on Zoom, on Google Meet, anywhere you work. And because of that are actually good enough for work. But like we mentioned, translation is just the core of what we're doing. Our vision is multilingual work. And so we're very modular, like Vincent said, in terms of our underlying tech. As tech improves, we will improve too. And we will make sure that, we can make multilingual work a reality.
Super cool shit. My layman feedback is like, see if you can pick 1 or 2 specific use cases. You picked like the professional tech worker, Spanish American, and then see how deep you can go there, There might be other interesting use cases, but like that's realistically because maybe you're lucky, quote unquote, and you unlock something where it's like, hey, in this specific scenarios, it's actually really, really important that this is like quickly translated. Or in these specific cases, it's not just about the Zoom call, it's about more. Like they want afterwards, like be able to go back. Like imagine this would be the UN. You would like to have an insurance that this is like correctly translated in afterwards, and all of this kind of stuff, So like there's a double check and triple check, and there's like additional stuff that's done afterwards, and there's a whole process that needs to be standard compliant and so on, or like larger board meetings or whatever, like there's like a standard compliance process that you can cover that OpenAI will never touch, you know what I mean? This is, yeah, but like, all of this, like I'm not telling you anything new. Cool guys, people can find you on trytoby.com. We're sharing the link right now. Anything else that people can do for you that would be useful?
No, I think just
send us an email, lucas@trytoby.com, if you have any feedback, if you think there's something that Andreas missed or otherwise. We're always open to feedback and trying to improve the product as fast as possible.
Awesome. Guys, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, nice. Sweet. Today is like we're doing like product demos and we did discussions. But super interesting. I actually assumed that it's completely built on top of when I looked at their here we go. When I looked at their let me quickly check normal. When I looked at their submission, I actually assumed it's completely built on top of OpenAI. But if everything is built in-house, this is actually an interesting place for them because that allows them at least to be extremely specific in verticalization. So it's interesting tech, but they have, in my opinion, like it's interesting tech. It's like, in my opinion, like tech that's currently getting commoditized. So it is dangerous. It's a pattern. It's interesting, like real-time updates. Like this feels like something has like niche applications, but could be interesting for some aspects. Yeah, given that they do everything in-house, it could be interesting. Like they could find something. Obviously, they need to like first like iterate a bit more and experiment because the purely horizontal is very dangerous. Okay, cool. Let's get Krishna on. Boom, boom, boom.
Hey, Andreas.
Hey, Krishna.
How are you doing?
Very, very good. So, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
You know the drill. We got 15 minutes roughly. We're seeing, like, we would love to see your product. We would like to see what you're working on, why you're working on this, how it came to be. And then we can discuss anything that's useful for you. And we take it from there. Does it make sense?
Awesome. So let me put the product up and I will give a sort of quick primer on why we started building this as well. I'm just going to share my screen.
Wait, let me make me small.
Yeah,
perfect.
Awesome. So before I jump into the product, a little bit about myself. So I spent 5 years at Deliveroo, quit to start something of my own. I went through multiple iterations. We started with customer service and LLMs, pivoted from that, ended up here. The sort of vision and the thing that we're most passionate about is I've worked in multiple functions in my career, like people ops, product, operational roles, and I've always found that people are constantly doing things that are very repetitive. Now, I think it comes very naturally to folks who are technical or slightly technical. I'm a self-taught programmer to sort of automate things, but I think for everyone else, there's still a massive divide in knowing that you can even automate something. And I think LLMs are only going to make it easier and increase the potential of automation because they can make subjective decisions for you. So Kili in its current form is our first iteration of how we can help non-technical users is a little bit of a strong word because you'll see with the UI, but people who have some concepts of breaking problems down, we want to help them sort of go and automate stuff. So I'll take you through the product. I think the key thing that I'll call out with the product is we put a lot of thought into the user interface, but it's still an iteration. So feedback is welcome on that. As I said, we're quite passionate about not targeting the core programmer persona. So bear that in mind as well. And yeah, we'll kick off there. Any questions, anything I should add, Andreas?
So far good, would love to see it.
Great. Okay, so with Kili, we have the concept of tasks. You build a task on Kili, and then you can run it as many times as you like. So I'm going to use a task to go and get launches from Product Hunt. So let's say summarize Product Hunt launches.
Jesus Christ, let's see if my script protection works.
Yeah,
to be fair, I think I wrote it like 5 years ago or something.
Okay, so and here I'm going to be a bit descriptive because you'll see that we have a kind of assistant built into the product because a lot of the users we talk to, they don't know how to build the automation, or they know kind of what they want to achieve, but they don't know the next step. So I'll be a little bit specific here. Go to Product Hunt's URL, get the content, and summarize it in Markdown. Okay, so first thing that you'll see is we dive into both the canvas as well as an assistant. I'm just going to move the screen to the left. Now, the canvas is intended to be kind of your progression of the automation, and the assistant is sort of intended to guide you through it. They both share the exact same state. So, when I say add a step and the assistant has recommended a step, you'll see that sort of updated on the canvas.
Okay.
Now, the next thing I'll show you is, let's say the user is kind of like this, again, the scraping the content will come naturally to someone like myself or to you, but maybe I don't know what to do next. So I say, what should I do next? And this is where the assistant is kind of going into a little bit of a planning mode, looking at the task and saying, okay, given what the user sort of added already, what should I do next? So here the assistant has recommended code. I'll be super transparent here. We went back and forth about showing the code or not. And we went with showing the code option because I think anybody who tries to solve for AI getting, actions right 100% of the time is going to fail. Like it just doesn't work that way. So I think you have to build for this concept of like, hey user, I'm proposing something. Do you want to confirm the action or not?
Got it.
So I'm going to hit add here. Now, what you'll see the assistant do is update, the canvas, and then the user kind of has to connect a step to the next one, and then feed in information that goes into the step as well, which is just a URL in this case.
How long have you been working in this now? You said before, like you interacted a bit.
2.5 months.
Okay.
Awesome. So that's been connected. So one of the things we want users to do is sort of like just work through problems like a programmer would, which is, test incrementally, see progress, and then go from there. So in this case, I'm running the task. We have built in an execution environment. So this is executing the code that the LLM wrote. And here we give the user everything that went in and came out, including any intermediary steps. So here you see the URL, and here you see the HTML content.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the next thing that I want to show is the assistant has the ability to zoom in and zoom out of problems. So I can say, I can click this, for example, and now the assistant is focused just on that step of the task, right? So I can say, use the HTML and return plain text.
It's funny to me because I program this stuff regularly in Python. So kind of like,
yeah, to see this, yeah, it is for me as well.
Hello.
So yeah, so now the assistant has done this, and you'll see that. The last thing that I want to show you is after this, the assistant adds this step. I'll show you shortly because I think that's a core part of what we've been building as well. I'm just going to connect this. Okay, so now let's say you're a bit of like an advanced user, you're a power user or something, right? Maybe this thing is just like not useful to you. So you can just close that and you can go full manual mode. So, you can be like, I know exactly what I want to do next. So for example, in my case, I know that I would want to take the content from Product Hunt's page and, use an LLM to summarize it. So we have a library of pre-built steps for common actions like that. So I'm going to go and prompt Claude. And I'm going to connect this in. You don't see this in the demo, but if this was the first time you were prompting Claude, you would have been asked to add your API key.
Yeah,
so so I'm just going to say summarize the content provided in Markdown, call out key product notice. Cool. So now I run it again, and you'll see the output. So you see all the intermediary steps, and this should be the final sort of output.
It's very confusing. Is it talking about, go up? Something went wrong here, right?
Yeah, something definitely went wrong. I think it's used, it's probably just not used. Interesting. Oh, wait, I think I've connected the wrong thing. Yeah, that's why.
Got it.
So I'll run that in the background, but you can jump in with any feedback in the meantime. Let me see.
Just say like list today's product in bullet points. Something like that.
List product and important points from the last 2 days, you said?
Sure, something like that.
You probably know this HTML content inside out.
I haven't worked on that site for ages, so I don't. It would be funny if I tell you which class you should just look out for to properly scrape it.
Cool, there you go.
Okay, fair enough. Sweet. So first of all, is this something you want to raise for, or something you're like also cool with bootstrapping?
This is something we've raised for.
Have you already raised, or you're going to?
We already raised.
And this is like you raised for something else and you pivot into this.
Yes. So we initially built a customer service assistant, which got some traction, but we took a cold, hard look at it, even though we had customers and things like that, and it just felt like we were building for the old world, not the new world. So we decided to pivot away from that.
Okay, cool. Before I give feedback, like what's your current thinking, current worries? Because it's super early, like you're still experimenting with this, so obviously like every early product has like obvious problems, like what's your thinking here?
I think there's sort of like two broad themes, right? One is how do you position the product, because this product can either be like broad, Zapier style, it can do many things, or you can double down on a particular call it function, industry. There are several options.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a fair amount of interest with document heavy workflows. So, that's not the one that I covered, but in theory, you can do, it's very good for document extraction. So,
Obviously.
you upload a PDF and blah, 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 blah. And we make it quite easy to plug in a mailbox as well. So that's kind of one of the reasons. So I think, choosing whether you go broad or narrow is something I'd be interested in chatting about. And the other thing that I'm just genuinely very, very interested in, which is why I wanted to get on the call, is user interfaces, right? I am not a fan of, I think chat interfaces are great because they're like easy to understand. The back and forth is good, but the moment you have, anything with like at least a few steps that connect to each other and something slightly complicated, it starts to break down. So yeah, I'd be interested in those two.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me quickly screen share. Let's first talk about the horizontal versus the vertical approach. Okay. Don't have the whole desktop. Let's not dox myself. 1 second. Is this? I freaking hate Zoom. Give me 1 second. Yes, now it works. Okay, cool. Yeah, you see my screen? Perfect. So first discussion is about should we do this horizontal, and you have the Zapiers of the world. For more complex use cases, you have like the LangChain, whatever it's called, the UI tool. And there's like dozens of others, and then there's also like earlier competitors. For example, like Lemmy is like very much focusing on the UX aspect, making it a thing that like non-engineers can use, And Plum is like the opposite. It's like a thing that they want to have built in a way that engineers want to use it, to just say like, hey, we need this API endpoint, and I throw something against, but I don't necessarily need to program that. But like afterwards, I receive a response in a worker or email or API call or whatever, right? And there's like multiple others that just like that came to mind because that one is UX and that one is developer heavy, and that was like horizontal. The obvious problem is if there's a lot of products in that space, the baseline expectation gets like just like ridiculously high, right? And there's like two problems. Like number one, the baseline expectation is like absurdly high, So just to be able to just get to the basics of what Zapier can do is like years of work realistically, or at least months of work, if you use good open source. And that by itself is already like super hard, And but the even worse problem, in my opinion at least, is what I think of as like mindshare. Is if we have only a limited amount of boxes in our brain, like this is our brain, more or less. And we have like one box for some reason that we stored that's like for, how do you call this space actually? Workflow definition? I don't know.
The old school term is workflow automation. The fancy term is building agents.
If you go agents, it's even more. Okay, like agents, I can show you 10 more products.
Of course.
Let's call it workflow automation, okay? Automation, LLM heavy, whatever. LLM centric workflow automation. And this is a box I have in my brain, and I have, I think, 5 products in there, and I showed you 3, and I'm kind of like in that space as an investor, as a user, as an engineer, I have investments in that space, and so on and so on, and I have 5. Most people remember 2 or 3, best case. It's really, really hard to get on top in that area. And unfortunately, how our market works is a lot of those products get bought by like recommendation. So it's like just really hard to squeeze up in that mindshare. Like I think of this as mindshare, like it's really hard to get mindshare. And what's usually easier, and you know this because you like spend so much time now like iterating in different spaces, it's just finding a new box, and just like it's the same thing, but we make it a bit different. Like it's open source LLM-centric workflow automation, or it's like LLM-centric workflow automation for specific use case or specific industry. And then you have like, and now the only question is, do people believe that this box is worth remembering? You know, I mean, that's sometimes an easier discussion. And this is where a lot of this is like usually called like horizontal versus vertical, but like frequently it's not even vertical or something, because like if that would be open source and this would be like a new box, or self-hostable, it's a new box. This is not necessarily, you know, vertical. This is just like some argumentation to be unique, you know, like it's some USP or something, or however you call it. And I think this is like the obvious feedback you will get from every investor, and they will have like 50 variations of like calling that, you know. It's like, how are you different is the classic one, you know, but like more likely it's like, how far is your traction? And that's, in reality, if they ask for your traction, what they actually say is they don't believe that you're like different enough. So if you think of your investment as like 3D space of innovation, that's a lot of execution up there. Execution, innovation, and credentials. And the goal is to be strong on two of these axes to actually be able to properly raise. If they say they want to see more execution, what they usually mean is credentials are not strong and innovation isn't strong, and they want to like just be proven wrong by the market, you know. And this is the kind of feedback you most likely already hear or will get, right? What's your thinking right now personally? Like, because I have no idea, you know, I spent with you like 10 minutes. What's your gut feeling? Like, where do you want to like double down, focus on? Because you need to reduce the scope, right? Like Zapier is like an absurd feature scope landscape. Like just to do that, working forever, and then your baseline. Like how do you how do you reduce scope right now?
I think that's definitely not an option for us. I think like, you know, there is maybe scope to sort of like get there eventually, but certainly not the place that you start. I think there's two sort of very promising areas. One is we found 5 to 6 early adopters that want the same thing, to the extent where they even want the same integrations, right? Which is quite unusual for a broad product. And that one is in the FinOps functions, which is not a function that people like it's not like glamorous, like sales automation or marketing automation, for example. So I think that's one we're definitely going to look at. We've already started working on it. We've developed integrations with Xero, for example, and it's working very well. So that's like one part we're investigating. The other part we're investigating is browser-based automation. You know, like I showed you a very sort of simple demo of going to Product Hunt, but there are several iterations of that, right? There's iterations where you can do the scraping autonomously, where you just give it a goal and it goes and does it. We've got sort of 2 pilot partners who are interested in solutions there as well. It is actually quite a hard problem to solve. It's not an easy one, because you know you have to build a different.
Would this mean you use my browser, or like you use a different browser?
Basically, you use a headless browser, because as soon as you know, like, because traditional scraping techniques just won't fly. But the thing that excites me the most about that one is not so much just the scraping bit, because scraping is an equally sort of competitive market, right? I think what excites me there is autonomous scraping, where, so if you think of UiPath, for example, Zapier and UiPath, totally different. One does API based, the other does like, or at least started UI based. Now, with the UI based automation, the problem you have is UI elements change all the time and automations just break. I think there's serious opportunity to disrupt that market, because LLMs are quite good at like thinking on the fly and like course correcting, and only pulling in, you know, a team to help with the automation when you really have to.
Yeah, all the spaces you describe have a very, very high baseline expectation. You know what I mean? So for example, scraping, I could show you now like 5, 6 tools in a scraping space. Like there's a very high threshold of feature expectation, obviously, you know all of that. And there's autonomous scraping as well. The same is with like AI agents and like all the stuff that's kind of like meant as a tool for builders. There's, you know, all the things you mentioned right now, that can work, but it needs to be like complete focus. And this would be like hard work, you know, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. It's just like hard work. So like to get to the, like, for example, with agents, to get on the level where Crew AI right now is, you know, is hard to get to. I can show you similar examples with like scraping and so on and so on. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying like this is also like baseline expectation quite high. You know, the one thing that you mentioned that was interesting to me the most was like there is stuff around FinOps, you know, where we already have users, and this is always like the dangerous part because as a company for Bootstrap, genius area. You know, you can say, hey, there is these 8 common tools. They need to do these 50 common tasks, and once a week they need to do these like 10 important tasks that like kind of like make them look good, you know. And if they could, they would do these 10 more tasks as well, you know. And that's a really interesting space to like build product and make money, like, and perfect for bootstrapping. But you never know how like when you hit a ceiling, you know. And that the problem now is like with a VC case, you need to find a way to make that narrative sound interesting. You know what I mean? Like you can still start in that area and like work in there, but you want to like find something where you say it's like X for Y, and all of a sudden it's a narrative that's interesting to investors. You know what I mean? I'm not so saying like because you absolutely need investors, but like if you already raised money, you know, it's like a non-zero chance that you wouldn't raise money again, or at least you want to keep your own investors excited about everything, you know?
Yeah.
The FinOps stuff to me so far sounded the most interesting one. I don't know like who's doing stuff there, you know, but it's an area where your customers potentially have like lower baseline expectations, and you can make them very happy very quickly. And there's a lot of interesting aspect. What I always like with this kind of tools is if people have, if they use like multiple tools, one of their job is to actually do stuff across those tools, you know?
Yeah.
It's very unlikely that one of those tools will do that better than you. You know?
Right.
Or if they need to do this and then they need to do like feedback or something like that, you know, or they need to like update their team, you know, and so on and so on. Like these kind of things are unlikely that the individual sources will ever do. So there might be Xero and all these big players, you know, but like if a typical customer actually uses 3 different tools for like slightly related workflows, you know, there's a non-zero chance that you can like wedge in there and like become like a layer product between them, you know. So that's something that would be interesting to me, especially if you find a cool framing for that. So, and I don't know what the framing is, but like that one sounded like so far is the most interesting vector, at least to me personally.
Got it. By the way, is this video shared or
yes,
it's just you and I?
No, sorry, it's you know this, right?
Yeah. I do. I was just like, no, because I didn't see any participants on it.
No. There's sorry, like on your end, this is Zoom, but like I'm live streaming it. Jesus Christ, you give me a heart attack right now.
That's what I thought.
Oh, fuck.
No, don't worry about it. It's Friday evening, end of the week. What was
I have like literally like a form where people need to confirm, and you jumped in last minute because somebody else like dropped out essentially, you know. So like I didn't send you the form because everything was last minute, and I had like almost like a heart attack now, dude. Not funny.
No. I to be totally transparent, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is live streamed. Is it not being live streamed? It was not the other way around.
If it wouldn't be live streamed, I would like ask more directly, like who are the investors, what do they want, can you buy them out, can you go this path, like a lot more like direct questions, you know. Like my personal gut feeling is this could work because that at least makes you less comparable, you know. It gives you an area where people have actual budgets. It gives you an area where people should like where the tools, they will do GPT stuff, they will do automation stuff, all of these kind of things, you know. But unless there's one player that owns already this here, it's unlikely that, you know, like you still have that area to go in, you know. So that to me at least sounds extremely interesting. By the way, chat is like they already decided that they will clip this, like me getting a heart attack, you leaking company confidential information, your investor already calling you like, what the fuck's happening, you know.
Love it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, dude. I appreciate
letting me do the demo as well.
People can find you on Keely.so.
People can find the website on kili.so. I'm NTKRIS on Twitter.
Nice.
Both of those are welcome. We just actually opened up the product to the public yesterday. So,
Perfect.
please sign up, try it, give us lots
Is
of feedback.
there, right now, with your current set of features, use cases that work really well?
Yes. So I think the few that I would call out are scraping tasks and document extraction tasks. Work really well because what I didn't have time to show on the demo is once you've sort of like completed building the task, it's very easy to run it bulk with CSV, very easy to plug in email, and very easy to schedule it.
Okay, that's cool. Awesome.
So research, scraping, and document extraction.
Sweet. Krishna, thanks so much for your time.
Take it easy.
See you. Bye-bye. Jesus freaking Christ. He gave me like a heart attack. I was like, oh fuck, I ruined his career. Okay. Yeah, we definitely need a clip of this. Jesus Christ. Okay, cool. Sweet. So I hope this was useful. Like today we had like pretty much like 3 times roughly the same discussion, It's like, hey, you're working on a platform, on top of a platform that does a lot of the functionality that you do, and it's kind of like creeping into, how can you differentiate enough or move into a space where that platform most likely won't move into? Or in case of the last one, like Kili, it's you work on top of a platform, but you do something that's very quote unquote obvious need. So a lot of people are doing the same thing. Is there a way that you can make it slightly unique, slightly focused, slightly vertical, all this kind of stuff? It's basically three times the same discussion today, because all of them do something that's, in my opinion, right now the best thing to do is like use these platforms and like really apply them to interesting use cases. But that also leaves you in a sort of like vulnerable space, like the platform can move, competitors like will pop up with the same obvious idea, and so on and so on. So frequently it's in those, like for bootstrap companies, in my opinion at least, bootstrap companies, like frequently there's like a lot of like, like go a little bit more vertical, like do something very specific that OpenAI just will never do, and like Zapier will never do, and so on and so on. Niche, vertical, or whatever. For VC companies, this is way harder because you want to get to the point that the core of what you do is no longer the platform. Like it's no longer the thing, because then you have like, otherwise you have like too many easy competitors who start with 85% of what you do, right? You want to get to the point that the core is actually some domain competence, and the platform aspect, like the GPT aspect in this case or whatever, is just a thing that you add on top and you augment on top. Cool. That's it for today. Next week's topic will be, where is it? This. Next week's topic, we will talk about EUAC. I will invite a few people who can explain us properly the complexities of changing policy in Europe, the realities of like what is doable, what is not doable, how long will it take, and so on and so on. I will try. I have already like a few people who are interested in joining that are very high profile. I'm not announcing them. I'm not even sure if I'll announce them before the stream, because I'm worried that people will come and like astroturf or some shit. But we have good people next week, hopefully. Anyway, so next week we do a big check-in on EUAC. We will have people who explain the complexities around Europe and like what has been done in the past, what can be done in the future. And we will also like hopefully get like a lot of the community updates as well. Cool. Folks, thanks so much for joining. That's it for today. I see you online, hopefully in Discord. If you want to join our Discord, come to euac.com/Discord and we see you there. Bye-bye. Like hopefully get like a lot of the community updates. That was the wrong button. I need actually like a browser ready for like music when I zoom out. 1 second. Do I have a browser ready now? YouTube. Does this work? Yeah, works. Nice.